punished for the sketchy form, and just 5 days on, the dreaded midweek fixture hits the off-colour Leeds Rhinos, with the Salford Red sides coming into the game in a rare situation as winners, having beaten Sheffield on Sunday. Can the Rhinos retain their grip on 4th place and get back to winning ways in a crucial stage of the season at Headingley tonight, or will the Reds secure the extra 2 points should all but save their Super League skins? Salford will kick the match off in their red shirts, going from left to right. Tonight's referee is Steve Presley from Castleford, and we'll go over to my co-commentator from Salford tonight, Steve Ramsbottom, to read the teams.
Yeah, great early start from the Reds, a great kick, not taken cleanly by the Rhinos, but is that Sterling running clear on the left wing, and great strength from these Rhinos. Quickly through the teams for Salford. Bobby Thompson's at fullback, Mark Johnson, Gary Broadbent, Paul Carriage, Joey Hayes, Phil Waring and Martin Crompton, Phil Waring for Steve Blakely. Steve Blakely having a big impact when he came on against Sheffield Eagles. Neil Baines, Warren Ayres, David Bradbury, Chris Morley, Paul Sullivan, Paul Heighton. No time to say anything because Leeds threatening early on, getting to the last one. Substitutes Joe Fimarlo, Dave Makin, Stuart Lickler and Mark Lee as we get to the first 6, and Salford in possession.
Thanks, Steve. And alongside me tonight as a guest summariser is Total Rugby League columnist Lee Addison. Lee, being a Salford fan, will no doubt want an important Reds victory tonight.
Well, it's interesting to note, Steve, that before the game, something was on the radio. John Harvey said that he wasn't going to put his full-strength side out tonight. To me, that's a bit of a defeatist attitude early doors before you've even kicked off the match, saying he's going to save his squads that are going to be best prepared to face the likes of Wakefield and Halifax as the season draws to a close. Well, if St Helens on Sunday is an easy game, then that's another matter, Steve. The absence of Blakely is also going to be another key factor. Blakely was one of the only players who sort of looked like he was going to do something for Salford the other day. A very individually talented player. His concussion is going to be a big blow for Salford today, and maybe Crompton can sort of spur something else for the Reds.
Got the first penalty of the evening being awarded to Salford, who kick into the North Stand. The Leeds team news, of course, Adrian Morley's absent, 3-match ban for his headbutt on Paul Rowley at Halifax on Friday night. They're also lacking Anthony Farrell, Marcus Santallaire, and Richie Blackmore's reoccurrence of his groin injury may rule him out for the season. That means Chev Walker on debut, the 16-year-old who played just 3 minutes at Halifax the other day. Salford on the attack for the first time this evening, and making a break up the middle. The support man just didn't make it through, and Leeds made the tackle with Martin Marcella. Salford will go right, Crompton with the ball. The runner in field, and the opening try for Salford Reds is only a couple of minutes on the clock, and Steve Presley will award the try.
Start for the Salford Reds, a great attack when we were still chatting about the start of the game. Ian Peacock's joined me. Ian's one of my, must be Salford's keenest fan. Is it Ian? 2 matches in 15 years that you've missed, is it something like that? Great start though, and Phil Waring powering over.
It's good to see the ball moving wide from the start of the game. It shows they're coming here, they've got nothing to lose, they might as well move the ball wide.
Yeah, great start for the Salford Reds, a much changed team, but with the first set of 6, really some sweet handling from the Salford Reds, and well, not an indication of what's to come, lads, I'm sure, but what when you got this feeling that maybe it's going to be a few points against you, it's nice to have the first score.
Interesting to note, boys, that in recent matches Salford have applied quite a lot of early pressure, especially in the first 20 minutes. Interesting to note that the inclusion of Waring, who for my money has been one of Salford's brightest young talents of recent years, has been unlucky not to have a few more first team starts. Maybe his inclusion is a bit of a spur for the Reds in this match. They've used that first 20 minutes and they've got on the scoreboard already.
So we've got 3 minutes on the clock here, heading in the score already. Salford Reds 4, Leeds Rhinos 0. This is Micron Video's full match commentary. I'm with Steve Kilgallen from Rugby League Express, Steve Ramsbottom from Salford, and our 2 summarisers, Lee Addison and Ian Peacock. So Leeds in the unfamiliar position of kicking off to a Salford team that have already scored after 3 minutes, but their recent off-colour form, as capped with the defeat by Halifax on Friday, shows under pressure, and Salford in possession again.
Yeah, and that certainly will give them confidence to the lads.
Oh, yeah, at least we know we're not going to get nilled today anyway.
That's right, and when you think of what happens to Huddersfield when they came here, this is a...
Well, the game's not over yet, is it? It's a bit early to say anything like that, but at least won the scoreboard.
That's right. Oof, big hit on Paul Heighton.
In a way, it's a shame we've got such a weak inside tonight, because this is possibly Leeds' weakest side of the season. They're there for the taking, really, but we've just not got our playmakers in either.
That's right, Steve Blakely, big influence, big kick from Martin Crompton, going deep, but sitting up nicely for Francis Cummings.
Cummins makes it over his own 30-metre line, but he's met by 2 Salford tacklers. Warren Ayres in there for Salford. This is Paul Sterling with the scoop. And Leeds about 13 metres from the halfway line. 3rd tackle, and it's McDermott up inside the 10-metre area. Terry Newton moves to dummy half, and he'll bring it back across the face of the posts. Carl Pratt in at first receiver, making his first start of the season. And coming up in support for Martin Masella there. Masella couldn't quite get a pass away. Newton again finds Powell coming on the short run, close to the marker position. Came straight into the Salford men. It's the 5th and last for Leeds already. And the kick will be for Carl Pratt. Slots it in between 2 men. But Salford have regained the ball comfortably in their own 10.
Another good defensive 6 from the Salford Reds. Certainly the power and pace was there to see for the Rhinos, but Ian, the Reds hanging on.
Yeah, it's just got to watch out for these missed one-on-one tackles. It only takes 1 missed tackle, and it's 6 points.
That's right, you count the tackles in a game, and if you get to 200 good ones, unfortunately the 5 missed ones can often mean 5 tries conceded. But Salford defending well in his early stages, and that's a nice little play. It's quickly got to the 6th.
I'd love to see a 40-20 kick here. The players aren't back.
Now we're over the 40, but it's well taken at full-back.
Francis Cummins again in the unfamiliar position of full-back for Leeds, where he was on Friday night against Halifax, taking the ball up, returning the Salford kick. And Paul Sterling again with the second drive. 12 metres from halfway line is the Leeds man. The Salford defence working hard already in the opening minutes of the game. Carl Pratt at dummy half. Glanville comes down the blind side. He's met by Highton and Crompton for Salford. He's up to the Salford red zone almost. Pratt finds Darren Fleary inside him. Graham Murray, of course, didn't name his Leeds team till now before kick-off tonight because of the injury situation. But they're coming in off the back of a defeat at Halifax last Friday. And they really need to pick up 2 points today to keep solid in fourth spot in the Super League table. It's the 5th and last. Leeds going to the right. Carl Pratt with a kick. It rebounds off Salford bodies. But it's fallen quite comfortably for Joey Hayes out on the wing.
Well, it's good defence again from the Salford Reds. Joey Hayes took his time to collect that one and took it safely. It's a good start from some of the Reds, isn't it?
It's a good start so far. I mean, we've seen a lot of good starts this season. It's a matter of the main thing today is not letting Leeds get a roll on. If they score, we've got to make sure we get the ball back before they go over again. Something Sam Wigan, 7 tries in 40 minutes. We've got to make sure we can get the ball back.
Yeah, that was what I want to forget, I think, that one. Nice little dummy, nice little movement. Who wants it? Paul Highton having to take it, standing still though. Leeds defenders quickly around him, so Salford with their 6, not quite to the halfway line. Martin Crompton again with the kick. This time he pushes it low and deep, and it's going to run into touch.
So Leeds will have the first scrum of the night on their own 20-metre line.
Interesting to note, Steve, that the Leeds lads have got quite a big size advantage over the boys from Salford. Their forwards have made considerable more yards in the early exchanges of this match. It'll be interesting to see how the City Reds hold out as this game wears on. The scrum's slowing forming up, and Steve Presley encouraging the Salford players to get in position. I think he's talking to them about the discipline, but so far that's been excellent, and they've really looked on good form coming off the back of that defeat of Sheffield Eagles on the Sunday. Carl Pratt feeds the scrum and regathers. I think there's calls for a knock-on in the south stand from the Salford supporters, but it's not given. And this is Darren Fleary on the charge for Leeds in front of his own post. Holds off the 3 Salford tacklers, and Steve Presley's whistle is gone. And it's going to be scrum down to the Reds. I think Fleary's been pulled up for a knock-on, and from 30 metres out, this will be an interesting situation for Salford.
Yeah, pressure in the tackle, forcing the knock-on, and Salford certainly started this game with great zest, haven't they, Ian?
Yeah, it's ideal positions now from this scrum. Phil Warings looked like he could be on the blind side, unless that's a move to put the defenders off. Otherwise, Mark Johnson stood very deep on this wing.
Oh, great little dummy from... Oh, and a great pass on to Carriage. Oh, Carriage dead unlucky not to be able to release the ball. Bobby Thompson so often can draw his men in like that.
He's been a great signing this season, Bobby Thompson, great player.
Bradbury charging forward, another real great attacking opportunity for the Reds. Close in the 20, inside to Paul Southern. Big game for him against the Eagles last Sunday.
Salford got numbers on the left here if they can make it out there. It looks like we'll probably take 2 points here anyway.
Yeah, the ball certainly being stolen at the play the ball, so Salford going to take advantage of this and surely will go for goal. But, well, we're very pleased, lads, with the Salford's defensive effort so far.
Salford have made a very bright start, and they seem to be continuing from the work that they were putting in on Sunday against the Sheffield Eagles. One interesting facet of the game on Sunday was Gary Broadbent's duel with Keith Senior. Talk about the little and big men of British Rugby League, but Gary Broadbent certainly got on top of that little battle, and look out for him tonight. But the Reds certainly do seem buoyed by that victory on Sunday, and they really took the game to Leeds in the early exchanges.
How do you know all that?
How do I all that? I actually went to a Salford game for the first time in a week or two on Sunday.
And the good news from us Salford Reds point of view, it took me till Monday to work out that it's both Huddersfield and Hull that have got to win twice. Now there's two more. They've both got to win twice for Salford to get relegated.
I can honestly say, fellas, that I didn't fancy Salford's chances going into the last few games of this Super League season. Huddersfield have sort of made efforts in buying players. Whether Gene Dahmer and Dean Lawford on loan from Leeds is going to make a big difference. It does take a while for players to gel. Hull Sharks certainly look like they've got a few wins in them at the Boulevard, particularly this season. But the way Salford have took the game to the Rhinos, who for many pundits are going to be Super League champions come October the 9th at Old Trafford, well, it's certainly very encouraging for John Harvey.
So 6-0 to the Salford Reds. 10 minutes gone. And a good start from the Salford Reds, without a doubt, and certainly holding the Leeds attack so far. Long way to go in this game. Paul Southern taking it forward a little bit further. Neil Baines this time. Another good 10. Oh, nice little stride from Neil Baines, looking to offload the ball if somebody had been able to be in the right position for the pass. But this is good play from the Salford Reds. That ball, pass released, keeps the ball momentum going. Bobby Thompson's nice little pass on to Bradbury, has to stand still, and the tackle's going to be made. But Salford showing some enterprising passing.
Yeah, at least in this set of 6 we're out of our own half. We get the kick in. If it's a good kick, we should pin them in their own 20, and hopefully they won't. Oh, it's going to high kick. Leroy Rivet was sus last week on these.
Oh, that's going to be taken. Yes. Yeah, come up for Leeds, but a nice change in tactics from the Reds.
So Leeds in the possession for the first time in about 3 or 4 minutes here, heading 11 gone, and the Reds 6-0 up. And Leeds having hit the ball out of their own territory. They've not really had any possession in the Salford half as yet. This is Brad Godden for the Rhinos, and I think he'll be important tonight, especially with Blackmore absent. He's got Chev Walker alongside him in the centres, and really it's a big ask for the 16-year-old to produce the goods tonight. But having played for Great Britain under 16s, he certainly knows what big game situation is like. This is Martin Masella over the halfway line for the Rhinos. Terry Newton comes in at dummy half, and Lee Addison. What have Leeds got to do now, really?
Well, once again, just looking at the Leeds side, then again, they've made considerable yards with the forwards, and they've made a break. It's Darryl Powell, the evergreen loose forward, offloads to Carl Pratt. Carl Pratt can't pick it up in a difficult situation. It was nearly curtains for the Reds then.
It was, but we definitely saw forward passing that move on the inside ball. But it was good defence in the end. They didn't let them go. They kept on. They kept running back, chasing back, and snuffed out another attack.
Certainly, I mean, Darryl Powell, I've never really rated him as a player. I mean, he'll probably prove me wrong tonight. Hopefully he won't. But I've never particularly rated him. The good thing is he's the main playmaker, and he's not a fast man. But that pass then was so far forward, it nearly made Harrogate.
Yeah, Darryl Powell, been a great thinking player over the years. Look at that barging run. Fabulous play from Neil Baines. Now Carriage can he go all the way? Going down the line. He's going and going. Comes inside, and he's got support if he needs it. And that is a fabulous try from Paul Carriage. Great try.
When I came to Headingley this afternoon, somebody told me that Salford City Reds were near the bottom of the table. Well, I think that somebody's been telling me porcupines here.
Well, you'd think so on that start, but that was Neil Baines persistent, staying on his feet, pushing off his attackers, and importantly getting the ball away at the end of it.
That's what Neil Baines needs. He's always going to look to offload the ball. That time there was a man there. Carriage has been much maligned this season, but it shows that when he puts his mind to it, he can do the business.
Well, that's right. That was pace from a long, long way out. And not only that, he had to beat the fullback at the end of it. The Micron lads will show us that one again. But he had to come inside his fullback and still have the pace to get over the line.
Well, Francis Cummins has always been suspect with a man stepping inside him. We saw that in the Test series last year. But at least Carriage showed the nous to know that and step in well.
Brilliant. Well, I don't think, to be honest, I envisaged that Salford would be in this position of 10-0 up, but on what we've seen so far, with something like 12 minutes gone, it's 10-0 on merit so far.
Carriage, in my view, has certainly overcome the doubters in the last couple of weeks since his recall. He was quite solid against the Eagles on Sunday, and he's made an excellent start to this game against some very, very good opposition.
Yep, and 2 more for the Salford Reds, and it's good to see the Salford faithful. They've made their trip and are there cheering the Reds on, and it's a dream start for everybody involved with Salford. 12-0 at Headingley.
I think the important fact about this game is it's a Salford City Reds grand final. Leeds Rhinos are virtually sure of being in that top 5, although they would like to finish as high as possible in the table. I think the City Reds have got a little bit more to play for, and they've come down this M62 with a job to do.
Bit of change already on the Rhino side. Kevin Sinfield comes on to replace Mark Glanville. Maybe that's some sort of injury, but an early change. And that is a good burst early on from the Salford Reds, clearing the 20. And really, that is a great confidence boost. 2 tries to the Salford Reds in this opening period of play. So that really must set the adrenaline flowing for the players, you think, Ian?
Oh, you think so? I mean, there's not many Salford fans come over here tonight, and those that did had to put up with some very strange signage on the Leeds Ring Road, and a lot of them got here late. But I think those that are here now are very pleased they've arrived.
Yeah, that's strange, that sign, isn't it? It sends you round the big roundabout and then up to the city centre. There's a nice little break from Ayres thinking about it. What was that? That was Ayres. So, Martin Crompton with a little dabber kick this time into space. Great chase for it, has to be played, but comfortably take, and Leeds running the ball clear.
Nice to get a turn on the microphone, Stephen. It's Leeds in possession for the first time again in several minutes. Salford really retaining the ball for the sets of 6 excellently. That was Leroy Yvette returning the kick. This now is Brad Godden, met by Martin Crompton. He's made it to his own 20-metre line in front of the post. The Salford defence quickly back though, and again move up as a line, and McDermott's got it all to do. Leeds going to the left, bounces off Chev Walker's ankle. Referee Steve Presley says it came off his foot correctly, so Leeds will retain possession, but it's a nervous start for the 16-year-old. Leeds stay down the left. Warren Ayres in for the tackle from Salford, joined by, I think, Carriage. And Leeds have got a kick still from their own half. It's a poor one from Carl Pratt. It's going to fall a good 30 metres from the Salford post to Mark Johnson. And already he's making ground. It's a good chase by Leeds, but Salford almost away. Mark Johnson eventually pulled down by Carl Pratt.
Great 6 from the Salford Reds, keeping the Rhinos deep inside their own territory, forcing the kick from within the 40. Well covered by Johnson over this side. And you can see the extra effort coming from these Salford Reds. They know that this early scores giving them a 12-0 advantage in front of a big crowd at Headingley. It's a mild night, ideal conditions, inside runner, but Leeds defending well. Salford very much on a roll in this game at the moment. All with men over that side. Nice long pass out to Carriage. Steps inside, Gann releases. Salford moving the ball drop, goes backwards. Crompton gets away and runs and runs. Nice little pass on to Heighton. Now's a chance for the Salford Reds. Heighton, unfortunately, not able to release the ball, holding it his right hand. It's the last tackle. Salford get on with it quickly. Who's there? Little kick. Oh, terrible kick at the end of it. But another try-threatening break from the Reds.
Well, the rumours were abound before this match that the Leeds Rhinos were battered and bruised from that tough game at Halifax at the weekend. They certainly are looking like a side that are battered and bruised and really haven't got into the rhythm early doors here at Headingley.
Martin Masella there for Leeds, and I think Lee Addison there is right in that, Leeds really haven't got going in the first 17 minutes of this game. And I think the Leeds fans have been quick to realise that. The score currently reads 12-0 to the Salford Reds, and Leeds haven't been out of the half for a good 6 or 7 minutes. This is Leroy Yvette threatening to do just that. He's up to the edge of his own red zone. Salford defence back to the halfway line. Fleary in at dummy half indicates a disorganisation of the Rhinos tonight. It's a poor pass by McDermott. It's put Darryl Powell under all sorts of pressure, and again he's pulled quickly down. Warren Ayres is one of the men in there for Salford. Jamie Matthew on as a substitute, and this is his first touch of the ball, and he takes the Rhinos over the halfway line. Again, it's the 5th and last for Leeds, and they'll have to kick. And Carl Pratt again under pressure to make the kick, and again his kick's not the best, but he's put Salford under a little bit of pressure there. Bobby Thompson slow across, but eventually he's picked the ball up.
Oh, and this time the free kick, the penalty going the way of the Rhinos.
Leeds get a penalty, I think, for an incorrect play the ball by Thompson there. That's what Steve Presley, the referee's indicated. And Lee Jackson in there with the quick tap for the Rhinos, and they want to pick something up here. Barry McDermott steaming close to the line. He's about a metre short now. Eventually the tackler's hauling down. There's 3 in there. Jackson looking to move it right. Carl Pratt's at first receiver. His run is Jamie Matthew. Off a standing start, Matthew. He still gets the pass away though. Leeds 3 metres short. Jackson. There's a Salford man on the floor. And referee Presley, to the unhappiness of the crowd, has signalled first a knock-on and then a penalty for dissent from Lee Jackson. So Salford let out of jail there.
quite right, Steve. Salford City Reds were certainly let out of the jail there. You don't want to start giving penalties away in your own red zone, or should that be the City Red Zone, as it is. You don't want to start giving penalties away in your own red zone to the Leeds Rhinos. Barry McDermott nearly powered over the line there, and the Leeds Rhinos will capitalise from close in. Luckily, though, they were let off the hook.
That's right. But Salford, well deserving a bit of luck, you have to say, in a season that's not had much going for it for them. But they're certainly making their own luck in this one.
Oh, that was a very timely penalty. We could see from here there was gaps on Salford's left. Leeds had the numbers over there. Play the ball wasn't right, then mouthing off. I mean, I'm surprised they got a penalty with Mal, because at this time he's not on the pitch at the moment. And he'll be telling the referee what to do in a minute, no doubt.
Yeah, so the referee picking a penalty for talking after the knock on Bobby Thompson. Always threatens. McDermott's down injured at the moment for the Rhinos, but big man McDermott's shrugging it off, back in position now. Now there's a little kick through into space. All the chasers are there. Oh, let him go. Now it's a try.
Francis Cummings away. The chase is on. The chase won't make it. Francis Cummings is going to go almost the length of the Headingley field here. He won't make it under the post, but he will score a superb solo try. He made the best of Salford disorganisation inside his own 20, spotted the gap, shot away. The chasing man couldn't get him, and Lee, that's a fabulous try, isn't it?
Well, that's just typical of the Leeds Rhinos. Salford have really got to be on the ball for 80 minutes tonight. They let it slip there, and Leeds certainly have players who can actually capitalise on errors from all over the park. Francis Cummings is on his way from Headingley next season. Don't know where he'll go. Salford fans will be hoping that he'll be coming to the Willows next year, but the rumour is that he'll be on his way to Sheffield.
Keith Senior's on his way to Leeds. He's on his way to Sheffield. That's what we've heard from his next door neighbour.
Well, I don't live next door to Francis Cummings or Keith Senior or anyone like that, and I'm certainly glad I don't, because I think if I had a problem with him, Francis Cummings would soon get away from me with pace like that. It's not often that players sort of go against what is their natural instinct to do, stop the actual motion of the tackle.
Well, that's what he did. He did, and then the try results. So it's the second chance that Leeds have had to score, and they've scored their first try of the evening, and that'll settle a few Leeds nerves, I'm sure.
Is that the floodgates opening for the Rhinos?
Well, not on what we've seen so far, but we'll see.
The conversion attempt from Kevin Sinfield, who's just joined the field as Leeds' third change of the evening, just to the left-hand side of the uprights here, and that leads to score Headingley after 22 minutes. Leeds Rhinos 4, the Salford Reds 12. So Leeds, despite that excellent try by Francis Cummings, still trail the City Reds by 8 points here at Headingley. And while the Leeds fans are shouting, there's still a long way to go for the Rhinos. Salford's Bobby Thompson just waiting for some sand to come on before he restarts this game, kicking towards the St Michael's Lane end of the ground here at Headingley. Salford playing from left to right in the red shirts, Leeds in the blue. And Thompson perhaps slightly at fault there for the kick, caught a little bit out of position to the right side of the Leeds line when he was at fullback, and he just came across, and Cummings just outpaced him by 2 metres. Thompson to restart, pulls it down to the Salford right, the Leeds left, and that's gone into touch. An excellent kick-off. Fox, Darrell Powell and Francis Cummings, neither of them went for it, and under the rules this season that'll be a Salford scrum and a chance for them to reapply the pressure.
Well, what a cracking kick-off for the Salford Reds. Bobby Thompson's kick bouncing just before the Leeds players and bouncing over his head into touch, and so this season's rules, a good change to the rules. This is Salford have the put-in. When Salford have the put-in, it's always a good change to the rules. Gary Broadbent threatening. 10 metres out, can Salford come back quickly, having conceded a try? Coming back out right. Martin Crompton, where's his runners? Martin Crompton's trying to go on his own. Going and going, not quite able to.
Really didn't need runners there, did it?
Still so close for the Salford Reds. Johnson, momentum halted, and Johnson forced back. Determined tackling from the Rhinos. Johnson back on the 10-metre line. Is it going quickly? Johnson, long pass out. Little put harnessed into space. Oh, so unlucky then. Was that Phil Waring again?
Waring again, showing a bit of spade off the mark there. Look, if he had a man on his shoulder, he would have been under the post then.
Oh, ball drop, pick it up. Gone backwards. Still play on, says the referee. So it's the last one. Momentum lost, but Salford still.
Another tackle score, yeah. Just haven't done much this set of 6.
So it's the high one, it's hanging, it's dangerous. As kickers, the chasers are there. Who's going for it? Oh, taken brilliantly by Sterling, and the Salford managed to put him down.
Some questions over Paul Sterling's defensive abilities have really been answered in the last few weeks at Halifax, where Graham Holroyd and Martin Rana really put the Rhinos under a lot of aerial pressure. It was Sterling came up good several times, whereas Cummins and Leroy Rivette both guilty of letting the ball slip and giving away tries. Leeds coming away in defence then because of the ex-Hull wingers' piece of bravery there down on his own line. The Rhinos about 28 metres out. Neil Baines lying on a little in the tackle, but referee Steve Presley allows it go. Great layoff by Jamie Matthew. Brilliant layoff by Matthew. He's found Darryl Powell in support. That's Carl Pratt. This is Chev Walker. Chev Walker's away. They won't stop the 16-year-old, and that is a superb try on his home debut. Chev Walker, he couldn't have thought of anything better, and he was away like a shot. Lee.
Once again, the Rhinos show their ability to score tries from anywhere on this paddock. Once again, the Salford side seems to be putting a lot of effort into the defensive line, but they just don't seem to, once again, be making these one-on-one tackles. I don't know who it was who slipped off there in the tackle, but Powell certainly had that extra yard with which to move, and he offloaded to Pratt, who then offloaded to Walker, who basically had a stroll in.
Well, Jamie Matthews' handling has been really good this season out of the tackle for a prop forward. It's certainly been a great facet of his game so far, and it came at a crucial time. It's pegged the gap back to 4 points after 25 minutes here at Headingley. The score currently reads Leeds 8, Salford 12.
It looks like Craig Makin coming on the field. Neil Baines has gone off. He's had quite a bright first 20 minutes. He's been offloading well in the tackle, looked quite powerful. Obviously, he's not the kind of player who does tend to last 80 minutes. He tends to be an impact player. Modern-day rugby league, summer rugby, and the demands imposed with it. Props often these days come on for 20 minutes. May I just say, Steve, that referring back to what I was saying earlier about the sort of pressure Salford have put on teams early doors, they've put in a good 20 minutes, and now that effort seems to have gone to waste, and Leeds have scored 2 tries from in their own half.
The cheers from underneath us in the South Stand gantry tells you that Kevin Sinfield has landed a conversion, and that's cut the gap for 2 for Leeds, and a chance to come back in the lead before half-time. They've still got about 13 minutes to play here in the first half at Headingley, and Rhinos coach Graham Murray, who admitted that he felt gutted after the defeat on Friday night, will surely hope they can pull some more points back quickly. Salford to restart. Thompson with a kick to the right. It's a short one this time. Again, Powell in trouble though. Just tees it back, and there's a scramble for Paul Sterling to come back and pick it up. Andy Hay was slow to get there, and the tackle comes in about 11 metres from the Leeds line. Warren Ayres involved, as was the Salford number 25, Paul Heighton. Leads up to their own 30-metre line. Jackson finds Fleary at first receiver, but again the Salford defence is pretty good. Craig Makin involved after just arriving on the field to replace Neil Baines. Presley Way's play on, and there's a chance for Lee Jackson to put the chip over the top, and that was a brave take by Bobby Thompson, wasn't it, Steve? Really put his body on the line there.
Absolutely, and gets up in spite of that all. But great try from the Rhinos. Earlier on, Salford defence stretched. Pace of the Rhinos in the 3 quarters showing. A couple of changes on the Salford side. Joe Fimarlo and Craig, that play on Joe Fimarlo and Craig Makin replacing Baines and Morley, and a drop ball gives Leeds possession, and it's Leeds on the roll now then.
Barry McDermott there with that drive for the Rhinos. There's a Leeds player down in back play, and that's Jamie Matthew. He's carrying one of his arms quite gingerly, and the Leeds physio's quickly on. That'd be a dangerous blow for Leeds. Leeds anyway still continuing upfield. That was Darren Fleary with the pop-up passes. Jackson, he's found Darryl Powell on the Rappers move coming round the play the ball, and he's made a good 10 metres there. Salford 20 metres from their own line. Fleary looking for runners outside him. There was no one there. Leeds a bit stretched on the right hand side. Young Chev Walker out wide with Leroy Rivette, but no one else in between, and Powell's just come round to slot in the gap. But Jackson will bring it back to the left anyway. Pratt was at first receiver. He's run at the line. He could have got a return pass out there to Andy Hay, but Hay was slowly in. He slots in at dummy half and finds Sinfield. This is Godden. Godden's a metre short, and it's a turnover, and really a chance wasted there, Lee.
It was a chance wasted, but just looking at young Carl Pratt there, he certainly is growing in stature in his first 20 minutes after a very nervous start.
But a good 6 from the Salford Reds, a critical part of the game to keep Leeds out from their point of view whilst they're on this roll. So a good 6 from the Salford Reds, but they're a bit bunched at the moment. Ian?
Good defence then. Gary Broadbent read it well in the last tackle. You could see Godden had come in from the wing to make the short burst to the line. They wrapped the man up, ball and all, and we got the ball back.
Salford, I think, just perhaps resting for a second, if you can do such a thing in this game. And Paul Southern going round one man and a second one very comfortably, getting to the 40-metre line. So Martin Crompton going for the long kick, but that's going to be taken comfortably.
And that one not the best from Salford, and it's fallen comfortably for Francis Cummins. Carriage in with the tackle, holds down the Leeds fullback about 32 metres from his own line. Pratt at dummy half, finds Chev Walker. Chev up to the 40. And I remember refereeing this youngster as a 14 and 15-year-old with a Hunt at Warriors Amateur Club in Leeds, and even then he was a real prospect. Converted prop forward, although you wouldn't think it, he's really put some pace on. This is another man with pace to burn. Paul Sterling, almost the halfway line, gets the pass to Jackson. This is Powell, gets it to Carl Pratt. Pratt spotted a gap on the Salford left, spins ball, but Leroy Vet overshot it, and Chev Walker was nowhere to be seen, and he's missed his tackle on the big man Carriage, and there's a whistle gone. Well, Salford could have been away there, but the whistle's gone.
Yeah, I think if we look at it again, we might just see pulling back before the break was made, but doesn't matter. Salford have possession. So did Martin Crompton go off in that, Ian?
No, he's fed the scrum. I think was it Barry McDermott has been since the blood bin. That was it, just one man blood bin.
Right, the runners are there. Okay, making Salford in the Leeds half, not being allowed to get up quickly. He is now. Oh, there's Martin Crompton. Oh, some good running from that. Nice little pass along the line. Carriage. Big try from him in this opening period of the game. 31 minutes gone, 12-10 to the Salford Reds. Martin Crompton looking for his runners. Oh, what a dangerous pass. Paul Heighton makes it his, though, nearly gets in the clear, having to shrug off a big hit round his head. Gary Broadbent's there, Martin Crompton. This will be the high one. He's high, he's hanging. The chasers are there. Good Salford chase. Taken. Oh, great take at full-back.
Well, it was, Steve, wasn't it? Francis Cummins in there, took the ball under a lot of pressure from the Salford defence. Chris Morley was one tackler in there, Gary Broadbent was another, and they really put him under some pressure. And that was a good take by the Leeds fullback. Lee Jackson. Well, penalty to Leeds. The Salford defenders caught offside. Thinking the guilty parties were Martin Crompton and the man inside him, who is David Bradbury. And referee Steve Presley quick to spot that, and the kick's touch will be from Kevin Sinfield.
Encouraging for Salford. One name that keeps on just cropping up into conversation is Martin Crompton. He's buzzing all over the field for Salford. He could have done with just hanging back a yard or two then.
Well, of course, with injury problems at half-back, Crompton will be a vital figure tonight, and he's in there making a tackle again with Dave Bradbury. Leads into the Salford red zone with Martin Masella, and they're going back with Carl Pratt. This is Jamie Matthew, recovered from his arm injury that he sustained a few moments ago. We've got 8 minutes to half-time here at Headingley. Leeds on the attack again, they're trailing by 2 points. Powell looking for the gap. Again, he finds a gap down the Salford left. Gets the pass out, the hand in from Carriage. Carriage tipped it back to his own line, diverted the pass intended for Leroy Vet, and I think he saved a try there, Lee.
Carriage has certainly made a good start to that game, and just sticking his hand out there when a lot of players might have tried to chase it up afterwards. He's really saved a certain try there for Leeds Rhinos. He seems to be all over the field so far, Paul Carriage.
he's having a cracker. What, playing for his contract next year, you reckon? Yeah, scored a great try, and he got in the right way of a try-saving interception then. And Paul Southern, he's come of age this season. Oh, forced out of his hands. Penalty to the Salford Reds, no doubt about that. 3 men in the tackle.
Paul's only got the referee there telling him what to do. I think these Leeds are so used to getting their own way this season.
So Phil Waring, Steve Blakely, not able to play today because of his concussion on Sunday. Yeah, it was a good one. Joey Hayes, second match since his return from injury. Salford getting in position in this side for David Bradbury to try and have a burst through, but Leeds put him down 30 metres from the Leeds line. Martin Crompton's theirs again, losing Paul Heighton this time. Paul Heighton taken down on the 20. Mr. Presley, referee, taking the Leeds defenders back. It's a good long line, going quickly. Bobby Thompson sells the dummy. Nice little onside pass to Carriage, brilliant. And another one. Fantastic play from the Salford Reds. Good handling. Gary Broadbent's asking for it in the air. Now the runners are there. Where are they? Oh, that was telegraphed.
That one had brass coffin handles on it, that one.
Certainly did. I felt that one for David Bradbury from up here. But Salford still having a good settle. Good. Oh, it'll kick through, and it's going to be there. It's a try! Great try for the Salford Reds. Kick that was just to perfection. It silenced the Leeds crowd. It had to be scored. It was so easy in the end. No Leeds defenders in sight. And another try to Mark Johnson.
I was calling for the ball to go low on the ground, but I didn't think it was going to go low that late. But Matt Johnson read it well, and he had an unopposed walk over the line there.
Yeah, he kicked that ball. He waited that kick to perfection that time.
That's right, but once again, did you notice Martin Crompton right in the thick of things again? He's going to have a big say in this game, and maybe the destination of Salford's future. And can I just remind you, it's Salford City Reds from now on.
Listen now when he just stopped calling them the Red Devils. Go on.
Down on the south stand side, and it's a big call for the youngster who's just made his way back into the Salford team. Son, of course, of Warren Ayres Senior, the ex-Woolston coach who did so much in amateur rugby league. And here comes Ayres. Ignores the jeers from the stand, and he's pulled it just to the right. It's come off the upright, but that was really well flighted. Just didn't quite have the direction. And it means the Reds lead is just 6 points. But with 4 minutes to play at Headingley before the interval, it looks like Salford City Reds will be going in ahead with a psychological boost at half-time. Leeds then to restart with Francis Cummins to take the kick, kicking from left to right here as we look on it from the south stand. And really, Graham Murray will have some stern words to say at half-time. Leeds just haven't looked as good as they have been early in the season, but they've been off form for about 3 weeks, and it's really been noticeable. I think the wheels really fell off at Halifax last Friday. And with all the injuries he's got, he's not really had a chance to put everything right. Jamie Matthew leaving the field after a stint of about 20 minutes. And of course, he sustained an injury a few moments ago. Salford on the charge. This is Mark Johnson. He's beaten a couple of tacklers, and he's up to his own 20-metre line.
This is great play from the Salford Reds. This is as good a performance as we've seen all season. Johnson and then Broadbent taking the ball almost to the 40-metre line, and look at that determination staying on the feet.
Joe Farlow's been an ever-present for the City Reds this season, and he's certainly putting in a big effort so far at Headingley this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for reminding me with the City Reds. Grave making, eventually getting up and play the ball. Oh, there's nasty. Oh, great little blindside spurt forward. It's the last tackle now. Martin Crompton passes on. And there's a nice little kick that will pass time, that will put Leeds in the defensive. 3 minutes to half-time. And, well, I'm pleasantly surprised to see the scoreline then. 16-10 for the Salford City Reds.
Very pleasantly surprised. What I do fear is that Leeds, I feel, will come into this game in the second half. They do have that potency to score tries. I will emphasise on this point because they can score tries from all over the park. Salford have got to be switched on, and this is a crucial stage of the game now. They've got to keep them out for this 6.
Pratt feeds the scrum and picks up, and of course he's playing at scrum half tonight because Harris isn't on the field. Leeds have used 3 of their 4 substitutes, and the one they haven't done is Justin Harris, who could turn a game, but presumably he's not fit for a full 40. That's a knock-on by Mark Glanville, but referee Steve Presley doesn't think it is. He reckons it's gone backwards, and Leeds have picked up and capitalised with Carl Pratt taking possession. He's made it to his own 30-metre line. Jackson finds Hay. Hay shows a dummy, but he doesn't fool Crompton, and eventually he's tackled down there by Warren Ayres. This is Marcella running quite wide, doesn't make much ground. Well tackled by Bradbury and Highton. Glanville charging through. He's broken a tackle of Ayres, pulled down in the end. The last one, Gary Broadbent, was the vital figure there. Carl Pratt looking for the kick. He steady hands on to Powell. Chev Walker with a chance to run. Sensibly passes it on to Yvette. It's still the last one for Leeds. Yvette's still going. He's got no support though. He's 3 metres off the line. Sinfield, ball's back inside to Sinfield again. He's still in play, and eventually it's going to be a handover. And Leeds, I think, have spurned the chance there. It's going to be a turnover. Current to half-time here at Headingley. Micron video coverage of this game. It's a 4-way coverage. Will Micron shell out for 4 commentators' fees is the question. Steve Kilgallen and Lee Addison covering the Leeds side, and Steve Ramsbottom and Ian Peacock for Salford. Steve, going into half-time, you must be delighted.
Absolutely, just nervous now we can hang on because, as you were rightly saying a minute or 2 ago, we know that there's the pace and the power in the Leeds team. That's why they are where they are in the league, and Salford are right down at the bottom. But Salford can look back on this first half with great pride.
Definitely, but this is a game of 2 halves, an old cliche. And what I have noticed in the last few minutes is that the Reds are hanging back a bit in that defensive line.
But they're attacking well now. Oh, Gary Broadbent well taken down. Yep, that's the fatigue setting in a bit when you hang back.
They're just hanging back as a set there. They've got to be up and at them again. Maybe this 10-minute break and the lemons at half-time will do the Reds good.
Well, that was a kick from the...
Well, the kick came in the end, I think, from Bradbury, fielded by Francis Cummins, and the hooter goes there at Headingley, and the score at half-time will be... Well, the hooter's gone. Paul still wants to play on, but it has gone, and so the half-time score will be Leeds Rhinos 12, Salford Reds 16 from here at Headingley. Leeds have got a mountain to climb in the second half, and Graham Murray will have some stern words here at Headingley. Half-time score, Salford Reds 6 ahead. We're all relaxed and ready for the second half here in the commentary position in the South Stand. And it'll be Leeds Rhinos to kick off, trailing the Salford Reds by 6 points. They've got 40 minutes to play, but Graham Murray will expect a big start from his team. The juniors who play on the pitch here Headingley at half-time have just left the field, including my old club, the Winmore Warriors, who I see were absolutely murdering their opposition tonight. And let's hope Leeds can do the same in the second half. Say Leeds fans, of course, we're neutral up here, Michael and video commentary team. Lee Addison alongside me, how do you see the second half going?
Well, I'm sure there's a few choice words ringing in the collective ears of the Rhinos. I think they'll come out with all guns blazing in this second half.
It's Francis Cummins to kick off the second half for the Leeds Rhinos, just waiting for the sand to be piled up, and I reckon he'll kick to the left-hand side. Leeds defence stacked on the left, and up he goes, and he'll kick down to the left on the north stand side. Salford collect, and over to my co-commentator Steve Ramsbottom to start the second half.
Thanks. Oh, well, we've only just about got our breath back after that exhilarating first half, entertaining rugby end to end, and from our Salford City Reds point of view, a great treat to see the Salford City Reds in the lead at half-time. If we'd been sat at home listening to it on the radio, we wouldn't believe it. We're here, we do believe it, because we've seen some fine flowing rugby from the Salford City Reds. Sweet hands and commitment and passion, determination and breaks. What a long way to go, power and pace in that Leeds Rhinos team. And Salford have to... Nice long pass, good hands, carries off again, goes inside, across field and straight, but not through his men. Carries is having a cracker in.
He is. I don't know what's happened to him the last couple of games. He's shown much more heart and commitment than the rest of the season. I don't know if it's because he's been given a second wind in the first team.
Francis Cummins fields the first kick in open play of the second half and makes it up at his own 30-metre line, and Leroy Vet on the scoop spotted a half gap, but Carriage slid across and picked him up, and he's guilty perhaps of a little holding down, but Steve Presley hasn't given many penalties tonight, and that wasn't one of them. Sinfield over the halfway line for the first time in the second half. Jackson looking for the options, goes to left in the end. Glanville back on the field at half-time, makes some ground. He had Fleary in support, but couldn't get the pass away from the two-man tackle, which was made by Dave Bradbury. Again, Bradbury's in. There's three of them in for tackle on Jackson with the ball that time, couldn't tell under a pile of bodies. It's the fifth and last for Leeds, and the kick is from Powell. The touch judge is signalling the chase is onside. It didn't look like that to me, but Powell anyway has followed his own kick up and made the tackle on Salford, and they're pinned deep in their own 20.
Once again, Steve, the Reds have made about, the Leeds Rhinos have made about 60-70 metres on attack with that 6 tackles, including the kick. That will be an important factor of this game.
Certainly will. Under pressure though at the end, the kick was comfortably taken by Gary Broadbent, we think it was. And Craig Bacon takes the ball forward. So stamina may well play a part in this game as it goes on. Martin Crompton looking for his runners. Telegraph pass.
I think the main thing that's got to be done in the next 10-15 minutes is concentrate. The amount of times this season, this phase of the match has cost Salford points. Thompson's making a bit of a break there.
Well, he was on the last tackle, and Bobby Thompson working hard, but harmlessly into touch.
Yeah, it wasn't the best of the kicks, that was it, Steve? And it means it's a turnover for Leeds just inside the Salford half, and they're making it up past the halfway line with Martin Marcella there, bringing it back across the face of the post.
The Reds' defensive line was looking like a dog's hind leg there. It's all over the show. They better get it sorted if they want to get something from this match.
And even more, they've given away a penalty there for holding down. Steve Presley's patience has finally given way, and Francis Cummins kicks for touch into the south stand and makes a good 20 metres there, and they'll want to get a quick restart. Lee Jackson's up to take that restart, finds Fleary on the burst, drives it into the Salford defence. 3 men there. Carriage just checking that the tackle's complete. It is. That Salford defence has been pretty good mostly this evening, but it's looking a little bit stretched at the moment as Marcella comes back towards the post. Pratt was looking for the return pass but didn't get it. He'll push out to first receiver, looking for Jackson to move it left. He does, finds Powell instead. Powell spots a gap, he steps one man up to the 10-metre line. Leeds pressing again, 6 points behind of course here at Headingley. Pratt, Marcella on the inside ball, up to within 5 metres, hauled down. Leeds will go right, Jackson brings it back to the left instead, finds Powell. Powell's found the gap, slipped the pass out. It looks like Andy Hayes over the line. There's 2 Salford bodies under him, but the Higgin goal judge and the referee both signal that that will be a Leeds try, and I think the man they pulled up, it looks like Andy Hay. We can't tell from up here in the gantry, but certainly it's a great Leeds try, isn't that, Lee?
Powell found the gap, but it could have been one of many gaps. He could have fit the proverbial bus through that gap, and maybe the bus will be the Salford team bus going home, because that might just be the try that really does put the Reds on the back foot now, and the Rhinos might really take this game to the Reds. That will perk them up for the rest of this second half.
14-16 at Headingley, 3 minutes gone in the second half, and a fine try from Andy Hay, who took the pass from Darrell Powell to crash over between two tacklers, and after some deliberation, Steve Presley awarded that try. That's cut the gap to 2 points. Difficult conversion down on the left, but that's comfortably between the posts, and a 16-all here at Headingley. An excellent conversion from young Kevin Sinfield there for the Rhinos, just trotting back for the restart, because Salford, of course, will have to kick off to Leeds. That must be a real blow coming 3 minutes after the restart to find them on level terms again.
Malcolm Alker's just run across with the cone there for the kick, and he's not made that many yards in the last few Super League games, Steve. Nah, Malcolm Alker is a player that will be sorely missed by the Reds today. Although Warren Ayres has deputised and has been quite an interesting player for the Reds this season. A very good, promising youngster.
Malcolm Alker's round Lee Addison's house on Monday, and I can tell you the funeral's on Wednesday at Salford Crematorium. Leeds on the attack. This is Darren Fleary bringing it up, almost beating the tackle. There's 3 men in the end for Salford. Jackson indicates he's going left. Bit of rough play at the play ball between Craig Makin and Darren Fleary, but we've played on. That was Glanville. Penalty to Leeds, and Phil Waring pulled up for obstruction. Steve Presley, I think, saying that Waring was caught between the men, didn't make an effort to roll out of the way of the ruck, and he's conceded a penalty there. And really, Lee, that's silly play from Phil Waring.
This is what the Reds have got to tidy up on if they're going to get anything from this Headingley match. They've started brightly, and they've got to keep this work going for 80 minutes. They will lose to Leeds if they keep on giving silly penalties away in their own half. Leeds will capitalise from anywhere on this field, as I've said many times already this evening, Steve.
Too right, and Martin Crompton just pulled out for the warning from Steve Presley. They've now conceded 3 penalties and a half for play-the-ball offences, and I think Presley just warning them that the next one will see yellow. The Rhinos on the charge there with Jackson. Bring it in field. Expansive play from Pratt to Powell, and on the burst is Andy Hay. He took the ball at pace, perfectly passed from Darrell Powell, found him about neck height, and Hay just charged onto it, and here's Hay again with his second hit up in as many tackles down the left-hand side for Leeds. The Leeds Rhinos fans behind the Rhinos, and here comes Fleary up to the 10-metre line. Presley standing over to play the ball to watch the Reds at work. Makin gets up quickly this time, and there's some complaints that he was offside when he made the tackle on Jackson there, but ignored by Steve Presley. A bit of a swinging arm again from Makin, who's been heavily involved in this set of tackles. Leeds swing it to the right. Poor pass from Carl Pratt. Carriage can't pick it up, but it's going to be a turnover for the first mistake. The first knock-on came from Carl Pratt, the second one from Paul Carriage, but in the end it will be a scrum down to the Salford Reds on their own 10-metre line.
Once again, Steve, the impetus for that Leeds attacking move came from a poor defensive effort from the Reds out wide on the right.
Well, let's hope that's not a sign of fatigue, but I'm not so sure poor's the right word. It's the Leeds roll that's getting on now, and the Salford's defensive line holding out, Ian.
Yeah, just about that time. I mean, the try came from a one-man running out the line too fast, and that happened again on Sunday against Sheffield. So it's something they've got to concentrate to keep the line straight. It was vital that we got the ball back there to prevent Leeds getting the roll that I spoke about earlier.
Yeah, we've got to need to work through the tab this time. Referee picking out Leeds being offside. Just Salford just punching a little bit.
Yeah, I think obviously the chips are down a bit after letting that try just after half-time, but Warren Ayres gone for a quick dart there. He's a very quick play off the mark.
Oh, vicious take and another penalty. Has to be another penalty.
Ayres showing the inexperience at this level there, trying to offload early in the tackle count, and where he was exactly trying to offload to, I don't really know.
Well, I think the referee saw it as the ball was taken out of his hands, rather.
Well,
the pass was straight to a Leeds player, but I agree, the inexperience was getting on with it too quickly when he should have slowed it down and taken the penalty.
it was obvious that he was trying to offload that ball, and
They're a Sabre, what price a drop goal?
Oh, yes, well, a bit early perhaps, 48 minutes gone. Oh, what's happening there? Tackle made twice, but Salford inside. Leeds half, Leeds up. Where are the runners? Joe Fimal, drops the ball in the tackle, and that's a handover that time.
Substitution and back play for the Salford Reds. Chris Morley on, Dave Bradbury off. And as I speak, there's a penalty to Leeds. Crompton, I think, pulled up for stealing the ball from the hands of Paul Sterling. It's a decision he's not happy with. I think that Steve Bradley says the tackle is completed, and once the tackle's complete, doesn't matter how many's in the tackle, ball stealing isn't allowed. It's a penalty for Leeds, and they'll kick for touch with Francis Cummings kicking for the North Stand. Makes it just inside the Salford red zone, and a big chance for Leeds to get some points on the board again, Lee.
last few minutes of this game have been a little scrappy. It'd be interesting to see which side gets their house in order and really capitalises on the opportunity that this 16-16 game.
Well, Leeds have got the first chance to do just that. Darren Fleary had the first drive, and that was a powerful one. It took them, Leeds Rhinos side, 12 metres up the field. They're going to the right with Jackson, shows the dummy, finds a gap, shoots through. The support's there from Francis Cummings, Cummings straight between the posts, and that's a superb try from Francis Cummings. And Lee, that was created by great work from Lee Jackson.
Lee Jackson showing his international class there. Many pundits have said that maybe he's a little bit too old and maybe there's better hookers around in the British game, but I've not seen many hookers do what he just did there. He really did take the Salford defence the wrong way, went through a gap that once again I think 2 buses would have gone through that one, and left Cummings to go in under the posts.
It's a simple conversion for Kevin Sinfield, and he's straight up to land it, and he's put it between the posts for the Rhinos, and that extends their lead to 6 points. 30 minutes to play at Headingley. It's turning into a real classic. Leeds Rhinos 26, Salford Reds 16. Both sides have got important battles to play. The Salford Reds know another 2 points would all but guarantee their safety from relegation this season. Leeds know they need to cement a top 5 spot. Substitution in back play for the Rhinos. Carl Pratt has left the field of play, and the man who's come on, Lee, is Justin Harris.
Well, any Salford fans will be biting their knuckles now. This could be curtains for the Reds.
Let's see what Harris does in this next set of 6 as Francis Cummings fields the kick and looks for the gap in the Salford line. There isn't one. It's stern defence led by Chris Morley, and they're in front of their own post, the Rhinos 20 metres out. Andy Hay takes the pass from Lee Jackson up to the 30-metre line, and the Leeds fans getting behind their tide as Jackson again scoots from dummy half, evades one tackle. Martin Crompton comes in, and I think there'll be a penalty there for a high shot, the swinging arm. I'm not sure which Salford player it was. It certainly wasn't number 25 Chris Morley who actually eventually effected a tackle. It was the man who flew in earlier, but it's a Leeds penalty. 30 metres out, Lee, and now's the chance.
There really is a litany of penalties creeping into this game, and you can't help but feel that the Leeds Rhinos are benefiting. Yes, in Harris's introduction, let's see what he can do now.
That was Harris there at first receiver, handed on to Darren Fleary. He's a direct replacement for Carl Pratt, of course, slotted in at number 7 in the continuing absence of Ryan Sheridan. He's been plagued with injuries the last couple of months. Again, Jackson shows the dummy. Mark Glanville came through on the first receiver run, and in the end it was Francis Cummings who took the ball. This is Martin Marcella on the charge. He's held about 2 metres short in the end by stern defence. Jackson, Glanville, across the face of the post. There might be a gap there for Powell. He's certainly looking for it. In the end, he swings it back inside for Harris. Harris to Glanville, involved for the second time. Powell involved for the second time. Could be the crucial one. Looked like almost a high shot there from Salford, but Steve Presley lets it go again. It's the 5th and last for the Rhinos. And Harris, can he do something here? And in, he moves the ball back in field. And Leeds are scrambling here. And in the end, it's an excellent tackle on Lee Jackson by the Salford number 19, Joe Famalo, who's on the field as a substitute, one of their 4 interchanges tonight, and he's also won the Leeds side a penalty, and the hand is to the pocket, and there's a yellow card come out. No, it's a blood bin. Well, there's excitement there in the gantry. We're all speculating as to what colour card would be. In the end, it was green, and Mike Marcella's in the sin bin. But Steve Ramsbottom, he's conceded a penalty in a silly position on the field. Yeah,
we were getting excited. We were thinking at least that was going to be a yellow card for interfering, but obviously not. Just wishful thinking change on the Leeds Rhinos side.
Barry McDermott's taken the field, and the man who'd gone off, I'm struggling to tell from this distance in the deepening groom, but it is McDermott who's on the field for Leeds, and his defence will be important in this set of 6.
Barry McDermott was certainly rattling the City Reds defence earlier on. His reintroduction could well sort of be the I don't know, a crucial part of this game again.
Yeah, absolutely, but certainly with Leeds at last in front, and a decision going against the Salford City Reds, and the tide's turning without a doubt. The tide's turning the way of the Liners.
The Liners.
Where's that?
The Liners. We're the City Reds and the Rhinos now, that's where we are. Yes, it certainly is. I mean, Salford really did have a bright opening 20-25 minutes, but the Rhinos have gradually weaned themselves back into this game, and you can't help but feel in the last 20 minutes that maybe the Rhinos will run away with it, ever the pessimist.
Well, Lee, as a Salford fan, I wouldn't expect you to say that, but Leeds certainly on the attack after that error by Chris Morley, pulled for a knock-on by Steve Presley, and they're going down the left with Francis Cummings. 3 men in on the tackle for Salford, whose defence has been really pretty exceptional for a side in the bottom three tonight. Glanville, 30 metres out. Jackson will go to the right towards the posts. Powell running at the defence again. It's something he's done several times tonight to good effect. And the Leeds will go left again because that's where Harris is at first receiver. He's got two runners alongside him. In the end, Fleary took the ball, but he's very slow up there, and that presented a simple tackle for Salford. And Leeds again, scoop from Jackson. There's a man under that ball, and that looks to be Gary Broadbent, I think. In the end, he's picked the ball up after Jackson's kick, and Salford battling the ball out of defence here in front of their own post on the second tackle.
Yeah, Leeds now camped inside the Salford territory. Salford struggling to break clear.
Encouragingly though, Salford have kept the the Rhinos out for quite a few sets of six now. I think that's 3 in this second half where the Rhinos have really put in a lot of pressure on the Reds try line, and they've kept them out. This must be really an encouraging sign.
Well, we'll look for anything for encouragement. 22-16 down in, we've still got to be in with a shout.
Yeah, last, I've got to make sure this last tackle counts.
Oh, there's a little break from Crompton. He's got his own kick again. Now the chase is on. 3 Salford men going, but Leeds have got it covered. Well covered by the Rhinos. What a good chase. Tackle's not quite made. Nandy released. Oh, a super final tackle. Great play.
Well, Marlow needed to make that tackle because otherwise Paul Sterling would have been away, and Leeds, a penalty there. Carriage pulled up, and I think Paul Carriage could well be in a sin bin here for a professional foul. He came round too early from the play the ball. He came from an offside position in the end to make the tackle, and Paul Carriage in the sin bin for the professional foul because Leeds could well have made a break down the right hand side. Excellent tackle by Joe Marlow, but there was no one else at home there, Lee.
This is what separates sides like the Reds from the Rhinos. Salford have had an excellent chance to get a grip on this game, and with silly moments of indiscipline, just like the one from Carriage, who for mine had quite a strong game out wide there on the left. Little bits of indiscipline, and that's going to really put the Reds under the cosh for the next 10 minutes.
Harris kicks the touch, and it goes over our heads here in the gantry in the south stand, and that gives Leeds a chance to hit the ball out their own half, which Barry McDermott's achieved successfully. Jackson to Fleary. Fleary spots a hole in the Salford defence. Macon comes across the cover, joined by Marlow. Leeds go to the left again. Sinfield slotting in at first receiver. Powell, Andy Hay running the wide lines again, something he does to good effect. Well, it was a good kick from Martin Crompton. He's had a fine game. It was a chase. Phil Waring against Leroy Yvette, and in the end Yvette won it, but Waring made up a fair amount of ground. He was 20 metres behind. Here goes Sinfield though. He's a man who doesn't lack pace, and he's found Lee Jackson. He's another one who's quick on his feet, and he's shot away from the Salford cover. No one was going to stop him there. Kevin Sinfield made on an excellent pass, and Lee Jackson shot onto the ball. They try make a turn, try scorer there, Lee, and Lee Jackson's having a fine game.
Lee Jackson's come on and really give Leeds Rhinos a lot of options around the ruck area. He was in support then, and he's gone under the sticks. Steve, the Rhinos just seem to be creating tries. They don't even seem to be stretching the Reds. It's just little moments of indiscipline in defence from the Reds, and the Rhinos are capitalising. That's why they're up there at the top of the table.
Sinfield quickly up for the kick and slots it comfortably between the posts. Completely cool, the 18-year-old youngster from the Waterhead Amateur Club, I believe. And he puts it between the posts, and Lee's really clicking into gear here at Headingley, and the Salford Reds look a bit disheartened as they trot up to restart the game.
Salford really have got to produce something quick, Steve. That might just have been the killer punch from Jackson there, showing his international talents. The Reds, well, Crompton's been all over the park and he's looked like doing something, but a bit devoid of ideas in this second half.
Well, it's not really that. It's these Leeds players that are showing their form and class and pace, and up against only 12 men, one man advantage is bound to show.
Well, it was a silly thing for Paul Carriage to do there. You've got to keep your head. Super League's all about discipline.
The restart has gone dead. I think Mark Glanville laid a hand on it. No matter what, under the rules at present, it will be a dropout by the Leeds Rhinos. And Mark Glanville was in position there to take the ball, and really a sloppy error from the Aussie Leeds forward. It's given the Reds a chance to get back into the game. They're only 12 behind. There's 21 to play. Important set of 6 for them, Lee.
It's do or die for the Reds, Steve. If they don't do something with this set of 6, then I think they'll be heading back towards Greater Manchester pointless again.
Thompson receives a kick, and Salford quickly back on the attack, Steve.
Somebody getting a big hit. I think it's Stuart Little who's come on. Not sure who's he replacing. Paul Southern it was. Thank you, Ian. So a real chance for Salford to get back into it, Ian.
It'll be a great time to score, but you've got to look. We've found it hard finding gaps anyway this half, and then with one player less, it's going to be harder. I think Mike Crompton's showing now that he's on his own. He had more ball players with him on Sunday, but without Brown and Blakely, he can't do it all himself.
But Salford in a good position, 15 metres out, even though they're one man down. Crompton's in the line looking for his little get through. That ball's running and hanging, but it's going to just be a little bit too heavy. And that wasn't even the sixth tackle, I don't think, Ian. I think we had the chance for another play after that.
That was too early. I mean, it's the game. We've got a man short. We need to take as much time as possible. We don't want Leeds having the ball, because obviously if they don't get the ball, they can't score. So we need to hold the ball as long as we can.
Yep, so the game turned in the last few minutes.
Well, I think it could do. It's 20 minutes to play. Leeds have got the 12-point advantage. They're not home and dry yet, but they're certainly clicking into gear. And I think that'll certainly please the coach, Graham Murray. McDermott. Andy Hay, who's had a pretty good game tonight. He's really come back on song. Loose pass in the end. Well taken by Sterling, and he's released Justin Harris. Harris can spot the Salford, a stretch down the Leeds left. A poor option by Kevin Sinfield to go back inside with Darren Fleary, because he had two men outside him. And really, they were stretched down this side, which Sinfield's finally decided to go down the right-hand side, but Salford are across. Two men in the tackle, Heighton and Waring. Glanville over the halfway line. Tackled by Warren Ayres in the end. Leeds go left again. Powell charging into the Salford line again. He's had a fine game this evening, and Leeds fans will be delighted by the fact that he signed a new one-year contract midweek. Jackson spots the gap. Jackson on the scoop. Support alongside him. He was overrun though. Justin Harris overrun, and Lee Jackson, in his eagerness to get the pass away, just couldn't quite do it. And Salford have been ripped apart again. If Jackson could have held on, there was a Leeds try in the offing.
Once again, a chance gone begging for the Leeds Rhinos, and maybe one last lifeline for the Reds. Interesting to note that both sides have got a forward now that's really getting stuck in. Joe Farmilo's come on the field and really thrown himself about and looking quite aggressive. Barry McDermott for the Rhinos, he's doing a similar job. But I must say that McDermott, I think he's getting on top of this game now as the game progresses.
That's right, that's right. Well, that's a let-off for the City Reds without a doubt, because the space was created up the middle, and unfortunate that the ball was dropped just as about the pass was about to be made.
Not unfortunate if you're from the other side of the M62.
Oh, Joe Farmilo's just leaving the field. Neil Baines is coming back on.
It might be a blessing in disguise for the Reds, because he was getting quite agitated at times and was swinging the arm a little bit there. He's a very good player, I rate Farmilo, but once again the indiscipline. I mean, if Presley was to catch him, then the Reds would be in trouble once again. We don't want to go down to 11 men.
That's right, Salford having to work it clear steadily. Play through the tackles, one man short. Neil Baines back on the field, having to take a big hit though. Craig Makin takes it a few yards forward, but Salford now struggling to break the defensive Leeds line.
What the Reds did early doors in the first 20 minutes was they did actually spread the ball about a bit. Obviously they've tried something there and it's not come to fruition, but they seem to have gone back to that one-up style of rugby league again. I think the first 10 minutes of this half maybe set that pattern, because it was a bit, how can I put it, indiscipline from both sides giving away penalties, and the Rhinos have responded in the best possible way.
Leeds back on the attack and over the halfway line again on the second tackle after the kick. And really they're making meters quickly early in the tackle out, which is something they weren't doing in the first half. Fleary charging at the Salford line, and after 63 minutes of play they can't be happy to see that side still coming at them. Full 80 it looks like will be expected of Fleary tonight. The big man looks up to the task. McDermott, Jackson finds Harris. Harris has got room to move. Inside ball, two men there, neither took it. Glanville perhaps should have, but he falls to the floor. Steve Presley indicates that the ball travelled backwards, so Leeds have got a chance to pay for their error, and Andy Hay looks like they'll do that. He's got the inside pass to Harris. Harris has got it away to Brad Godden. Brad Godden away under the posts. Superb try for Leeds Rhinos, and that's the game in the bag, and the 2 points in Super League which they needed are secure with 15 minutes to play at Headingley.
For mine, Andy Hay's been the man that's really won Leeds Rhinos this game. Lee Jackson's played an integral part of that too. Harris has come on, and I think his presence on the field is just enough, but I think the Reds are dead and buried now. They put in a good show for the first hour, but as we said earlier on, that last 20 minutes, you knew the Reds were going to struggle, and they really are struggling. They're looking tired, they're looking fatigued, and they're looking a little devoid of ideas. Well, the Rhinos, I can honestly say that I haven't been too impressed by the Rhinos. It's been scrappy. Yes, it's a midweek game. Yes, they've had a game. They've had a bad few games against Halifax Blue Sox. They struggled against Warrington Wolves the other week, even though it was a very good game. They're not in the best form of late, but I can honestly say that they've got a lot of work to do in the run into the season if they're going to make that grand final at Old Trafford for the second year in succession. And the conversion, Kevin Sinfield, a relatively easy one. That brings the score to 34-16.
Well, I'm struggling to tell, but I will give you the nod in a minute as soon as I know. It looks to be the number 17, Mark Lee, making, in fact, his first appearance of the evening, the veteran hooker, coming on, and maybe his experience can steady the ship. And he's in there for the first tackle of the Leeds set, but with the Reds trailing by 18 points here at Headingley, there's perhaps very little he can do with 15 to play. Lee's got to play it up the middle and hold it tight, and that's exactly what Sinfield's doing now, over the 30-metre line. Crompton in for the tackle. Neil Baines, who's rejoined the action, he's the other change also involved. Here comes Carl Pratt, who's back on for Leeds. He replaced Darryl Powell. Salford pushed back to the halfway line. Leeds going down the left. That was Hay. Glanville handled as well. Good tackling from Salford. Mark Lee involved, as was Stuart Littler, who's also joined the action. He's the substitution who's just come on in the last 10 seconds or so, and he's immediately involved. Lee Jackson's been involved all evening. He sold the dummy to Gary Broadbent. Here goes Chev Walker. Chev Walker steaming away. He's handing off one man. He's handing off two. He's over the line. Chev Walker, his second try. He's only 16 years old, but I think tonight at Headingley we've seen a star in the making. And if he's not playing for Great Britain in 5 years' time, I'll be amazed. He just shot through. He left poor old Phil Waring in his wake, Waring lying on the turf, watching Chev Walker steam up the touchline and dive over. And it's Chev Walker's try, second of the evening, and it's 38 points to 16 at Headingley.
The youngster Walker really has impressed me today. Any chances he has had, he's really capitalised on them well. The Rhinos are certainly running away with it now, and I'm afraid, well, the Salford Reds have put in a good show. They've sort of shown a performance that maybe they can take some hope into the rest of the season in games against Wakefield, Halifax, St Helens and Warrington.
Kevin Sinfield had his most difficult conversion of the night, but he's hit it well, and the touch judges' flags are still waiting, and he's just pulled it across the post, but in driving wind with Lee Jackson pinning the ball for him, and from right on the south stand touchline. It was a good effort by Kevin Sinfield. He's missed the conversion, but perhaps that won't matter too much, because Leeds Rhinos are 22 points to the good. We've just got 11 minutes to play at Headingley. The Reds are looking downtrodden. They've put up a good show, and I'm sure John Harvey will be happy with the first half. But really, the wheels have come off a bit in the second half, Lee.
They definitely have. Like we say, I mean, Salford have been a 60-minute side, sometimes they've been a 20-minute side this season. As soon as they get it right for 80 minutes, which at times they have done at home, they were quite solid against the Eagles at the weekend. They've just got to get it right for 80 minutes, Steve, and they might start winning some of these games.
I think that's probably a fair assessment from Lee Addison there. Leeds up to their own red zone already. It was a short kick-off by Salford. Darren Fleary aware of the threat, and he just tapped the ball back to Francis Cummins, soccer style, who picked up. Fleary it was, he took the next drive in, and he'd been pulled up for a knock on there. I think he just stumbled over the ball as he went to play it, and Steve Ramsbottom Salford finally back in possession.
Yeah, it seemed a long time since we've had the ball, and back to full strength as well. Certainly Leeds have capitalised on the one-man advantage.
Can I just point out that if this is Salford's second string, as Harvey put it before the game, or the side that weren't supposed to be the first choice 13, they've done themselves proud, and they certainly played as if they've had a point to prove in the first 60 minutes. Last 20 minutes, well, I've already discussed that.
So the drop ball this time being seen as a knock-on against the Salford Reds, and it's not quite going for them now. Still 10 minutes to go. The scoreline 38-16 doesn't really scoreline and doesn't really reflect the effort that the Salford City Reds have put into this game.
No, it's quite disappointing. They put a lot of effort in, and here they are with 10 minutes to go. With only 2 converted tries, I've conceded 50 points again.
Yeah, 5 second-half tries turned it so far, and Leeds still in possession.
Leeds then from the scrum. Cummins has joined the line. He's made it to the halfway. Leeds stacked on the left, and that's the way they'll go with Jackson. This is Marcella back on the field. Good tackle from Paul Heighton there. Leeds, of course, 22 points to the good, and they're only 40 metres from the line here. Harris, long ball, finds Brad Godden. Godden hands on to Paul Sterling. He's down the touchline. He's got 2 men to beat. He's beaten the first. He's beaten Bobby Thompson at fullback. He's raced round, and that looks a bit dubious. Steve Presley's gone to discuss with his in-goal judge whether that's a try, and he's awarded it. Paul Sterling, I think, thinks he's lost the ball. A lot of the crowd do, but Steve Presley doesn't, and it's a try.
And where's the video ref when you want him? Well, let's forget the knock-on for a bit. It certainly was a knock-on from Sterling. I think the replay will show that. But once again, the Rhinos showing their talent out wide. Once again, a long ball. The Rhinos really are sort of looking like championship material, especially on attack now. But they've left it a little bit too late. You can't help but feel that they're a lot better than 42 points to 16, better than Salford. Maybe they could have been 70 today if they'd switched on from the first whistle to the final hooter. Oh well, the game's gone. They've got the 2 points. Graham Murray will sleep well tonight.
Of course, the micro and video facilities don't stretch quite as far as the replay monitor up here, so you'll see on your screens at home whether Lee Addison's quite right about the knock-on or not. The try's been given anyway, and it's 42-16 here at Headingley, with the kick to come to make it 44 from Kevin Sinfield, who's been in great form with the boot all evening, substituting for skipper Yestin Harris with the boot. But of course, once Harris took the field, Sinfield was still entrusted with the goal-kicking duties, and that's a sign of how he's come on. Steve Presley waves time on, and Kevin Sinfield marks his run-up out for the 3rd time. Let's hope the wind doesn't blow the football over this time. The wind driving across the Headingley pitch. There's a little bit of rain in the air as well. It's coming straight into us in the south stand here. Sinfield with the kick. And the Wolseley crowd tells you he's slotted that one between the uprights to take the lead score out to 44 points.
Kevin Sinfield, for a young lad, he's shown some flashing of brilliance this evening. He's also shown a bit of naivety. The late Don Preston, his old England school coach, said that Kevin Sinfield was one of the best players he had ever seen, if not the best player. And this is from a man who's seen Andy Farrell, Dennis Betts, players like Adrian Morley, and all the players that are high in the Super League at the moment are really making their mark. Kevin Sinfield, he said, was one of the, if not the best that he's ever seen. Time will tell. He's shown a few flashes of that brilliance this evening.
Salford once again after kick-off, and Bobby Thompson must be sick of doing that on this evening. The rain getting stronger, and the Salford faithful behind the post just starting to leave. They know this game's gone from them. Andy Hay on the charge, makes a good 20 metres with the ball in hand. Craig Makin meets him with the tackle. Leeds go left with Barry McDermott, and of course they're just playing a simple game now. It was a good layoff though. Harris finds Marcella from a standing start as well to make a couple of metres. Leeds just need to hold the ball and drive it for sets of 6 really. That's not really the sort of style they play, but they've got nothing else to achieve in this game. Glanville, they will have to produce a full 8 against Gateshead on Sunday, and backing up 3 games in just, 9 days will really be the test of the Leeds squad strength. They've got plenty of players missing tonight, and maybe that showed in the first half performance. Sinfield, he's one man who's benefited from those absences. Andy Hay on the end of his pass, and he's away. Sold the dummy to one man, racing away, gets the ball in field, and the man on the end of it, who else but the Leeds skipper, Yestin Harris, under the post. And if Sinfield lands it, Leeds will hit 50 this evening at Headingley.
Kevin Sinfield, the man I was talking about only a few moments ago, he was showing that flash of brilliance I was talking about. He sets up that try. But the man who's there again, the man who they're singing about in this stand just below the gantry, Andy Hay, he's been my game star this evening. He really has run wide, strong and hard for the Rhinos. He's turned the game along with Jackson. I've got mixed feelings about this game, Steve. I don't think Salford deserve to be 50 points down, but at the same time I do feel Leeds are a side that are 50 points better than Salford generally. They haven't performed to their capabilities this evening.
Sinfield lands the goal. Leeds hit 50. And I think, as Lee was saying, there's not been that much a difference between the sides tonight, but Salford perhaps just lacking the intensity that was required to back up in a midweek game. Of course, they played on Sunday, Leeds played on Friday, and the extra 48 hours recovery might just have helped the Rhinos tonight. Both teams, of course, will be in action again this Sunday, and Leeds travel up to the Gateshead Thunder, and it's a game that Gateshead coach Sean McRae knows he has to win if they're to stand the chance in the top 5. So it will be a test of the Rhinos' capabilities that can come away with 2 points from the Thunderdome. And one thing they will have to do is build on tonight's second half performance to turn it into a full 80 minutes, don't you think, Lee?
I definitely do. I think the Thunder will have a lot to prove in front of the Sky TV cameras at the weekend.
The restart finds Justin Harris, and he tries a cheeky tip over the top, and he's punished for it by Bobby Thompson, who picks the ball up. Thompson's up into the Leeds defence, 20 metres out. Tackle comes in from Carl Pratt, but Steve, Salford finally back in possession.
Yeah, and in possession inside Wakefield, inside Leeds. We've just been talking about the game against Wakefield for the Salford City Reds, so important in a couple of weeks' time. Salford getting a penalty. Well, they're going to go for the last score, and if they can finish with a flourish, that'd be great. Oh, that's nothing. That's terrible, Martin. So possession squandered in the very first play. Well, and also a chance for Leeds to break down the left again.
Leeds with a chance to get one more try in before the full-time whistle goes here at Headingley. There's about 4 minutes to play. They're pressing firmly down the left-hand side with Barry McDermott. Jackson, Sinfield, the long pass fell unkindly for Justin Harris, but he's picked it up. He's step one man, he's step two, in support with Sinfield again, who tries an extravagant pass out the back door to Andy Hay, who picks up and again makes ground. In the end, he's just ankle tapped. But Jackson continues the move. Mark Glanville, back to Harris. Harris has got support on the left, and the pass just went over the head of Paul Sterling. He wasn't expecting it. Perhaps he should have been, because if he'd have picked up in a wide position, the Salford cover was really stretched down their right-hand side, and Sterling could have been down that touchline with the pace that he's shown all season to claim yet another try for Leeds.
Sterling went through the checkout with a trolley, but forgot the goods there, didn't he, Steve?
So how's it like being stood on the gantry then, Ian? Good view of the game, if now tells.
Great view at Headingley. I mean, I'm used to being stuck behind the post. I mean, the rain's coming down now, and see my pals are behind the sticks getting wet, and I'm up here, cold but dry. But it's a good view. I mean, Headingley used to be behind the posts, watching the players' ankles, really.
And it's been an entertaining game. Salford at half-time really impressing at 16-10 in the lead.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pity we couldn't have done what we did at the Willows. These have beat us 40-0 in the second half tonight. At the Willows this year, we put, was it 30 points in the last 20-odd minutes?
Yeah, that's right, and that's when the first match, was it after that Gregory went, and they suddenly woke up to passing the game. But important games ahead for the Salford City Reds, still not absolutely certain of Super League status next year. Nice little inside pass to Baines, charging forward. Good pass on, the ball taken out of his hands. Knock on, referee says all right. So Salford City Reds going to the end of this game. Leeds in possession. Good performance, excellent performance for the Salford City Reds. We wish them well on Sunday against the Saints, and all the more importantly, success at the game at Wakefield to ensure Super League survival next season.
Well, on this evidence, perhaps the Reds have done just enough to show that they are worthy of a place in the Millennium season. The attendance tonight at Headingley, an excellent 10,117 on a cold Wednesday night for a midweek game. Both teams will be pleased with the support they've received. Leroy Vet picking the ball up. Well tackled just inside his own half. And Lee Addison, your final thoughts on tonight's game?
Well, for many fans down there in sunny Salford, it can't have been much of a lure to come to Headingley on a Wednesday night, top of the table versus bottom. But the Reds are putting a good show. Here's Carl Pratt, the youngster, gives it to Rivette, the man of the moment for Leeds. And here's the youngster, Chev Walker, steps and shimmies.
In the end, a forward pass though was just on the line, and that made an easy call for Steve Presley, but a great break from Carl Pratt. We're almost up to full time here at Headingley. I think the final score will in the end read the Leeds Rhinos 50, the Salford Reds 16, because the scrum down to Salford, and I think the hoops will go fairly soon with the Reds in possession. Just waiting for the scrum to form here. There can only be seconds to go. The clock on the scoreboard has gone off, which indicates we're in stoppage time, added on by referee Steve Presley, down there in the distinctive yellow shirt tonight. Martin Compton feeds the scrum, and the Reds have just got to play out this set of 6 before the hooter. There's nothing they can do at this stage of the game. And there it goes. A big cheer from the Headingley support, because they know that the Leeds Rhinos have got their season back on track. They've come up with a 34-point victory. The final score, 50 points to 16. From here at Headingley, your team from Mycon Video, Steve Kilgallen, Steve Ramsbottom, the commentators, Ian Peacock and Lee Addison, the summarisers, and cameraman, the ever-happy Phil Oakes. a very good evening to you from all at Micron Video. Leeds Rhinos back on course, back